Before the British Empire, another power ruled the world for centuries. The Roman Empire. Its influence shaped law, language, architecture, and politics, which we still see today. We'll uncover how Rome rose from a small city to the world's greatest empire, and why it eventually collapsed. Rome's story begins in legend, around 753 BCE. According to myth, twin brothers Romulus and Remus, raised by She-Wolf, founded the city. Romulus would go on to become the first ruler, giving the city its name. But mythology aside, historians believe Rome grew out of small settlements along the Tiber River. Its location was perfect fertile land, natural defenses from hills, and easy access to the Mediterranean Sea. At first, Rome was ruled by kings, some of them until around 509 BCE, when the Romans overthrew their last king, Tarquin the Proud. In his place, they established the Roman Republic, a system of government where power rested in elected officials and the Senate. For the next several centuries, Rome fought constantly with its neighbors. Through a mix of military strength, clever alliances, and sheer determination, Rome grew from a single city into a regional power. The Republic developed a powerful army, made up of disciplined citizen soldiers. Unlike other armies of the time, Roman legions were highly organized, trained, and loyal to their commanders. This gave Rome a clear advantage in battle. By the 3rd century BCE, Rome faced its greatest rival, Carthage, a wealthy trading empire based in North Africa. The 3 Punic Wars would decide the fate of the Mediterranean. In the First Punic War, 264–241 BCE, Rome built a navy almost from scratch to challenge Carthage at sea. Against all odds, Rome won, gaining Sicily as its first province. The Second Punic War, 218–201 BCE, became legendary. The Carthaginian general Hannibal marched his army, including war elephants across the Alps, to invade Italy. He won several battles, but Rome refused to surrender. Eventually, the Roman general Scipio Africanus defeated Hannibal at the Battle of Zama, securing Rome's dominance. The Third Punic War, 149–146 BCE, ended with Rome destroying Carthage completely, turning it into ruins and enslaving its people. After these victories, Rome was the uncontested master of the Western Mediterranean, but expansion brought new problems. Wealth from conquered lands flooded into Rome, creating huge gaps between rich and poor. Corruption grew, and ambitious generals began using their armies for personal power. One of the most famous figures of this era was Julius Caesar. A brilliant general and politician, Caesar expanded Rome into Gaul, modern-day France, and became immensely popular. But his rise threatened the Senate's authority. In 49 BCE, Caesar marched his army across the Rubicon River, effectively declaring civil war. He won, and in 44 BCE, he was declared dictator for life. But only months later, he was assassinated by senators who feared he was becoming a king. Out of the chaos, Caesar's adopted heir, Octavian, later known as Augustus, emerged victorious. In 27 BCE, he became Rome's first emperor, marking the end of the Republic and the beginning of the Roman Empire. Under Augustus, Rome entered a period known as the Pax Romana, or Roman peace, lasting about 200 years. During this time, Rome expanded its borders to their greatest extent, from Britain in the west to Egypt in the south, and Mesopotamia in the east. At its height, the empire ruled over 50 million people. Rome was not just about military conquest. The empire became famous for its engineering and culture. Roads that stretched thousands of miles. All roads lead to Rome. Aqueducts that carried fresh water into cities. Grand monuments like the Colosseum and the Pantheon, and Roman law, which influenced modern legal systems. The empire thrived under emperors like Augustus, Trajan, and Hadrian, who built Hadrian's Wall in Britain. But not all emperors were great. Some, like Nero and Caligula, became infamous for cruelty, corruption, and extravagance. But for all its glories, the empire had problems. By the 3rd century CE, cracks began to show. The empire faced serious internal and external problems. Political instability. Emperors rose and fell rapidly, often killed in coups or assassinations. In one 50-year period, more than 20 emperors ruled, most dying violently. Economic troubles, heavy taxation, reliance on slave labor, and inflation weakened the economy. Military challenges. Rome became dependent on mercenaries, who were often less loyal than citizen soldiers. Socialissus. A huge divide between rich elites and poor citizens created unrest. Meanwhile, powerful barbarian groups on the borders grew stronger. To manage the vast empire, Emperor Diocletian in the late 3rd century CE divided it into two parts. The Western Roman Empire, with its capital in Rome, and the Eastern Roman Empire, later known as Byzantium, with its capital in Constantinople. This division helped administration in the short term, but it also weakened unity. The wealthier Eastern Empire survived longer, while the Western Empire became vulnerable to invasions. In the 4th and 5th centuries, waves of invasions shook the empire. Germanic tribes, like the Visigoths and Vandals, moved into Roman territory, fleeing from the Huns of Central Asia. In 410 CE, the Visigoths, led by Alaric, sacked Rome itself. The first time in nearly 800 years the city had fallen to an enemy. The shock was immense. The empire struggled on for several decades, but by 476 CE, the Western Roman Empire collapsed when the last emperor, Romulus Augustulus, was deposed by the Germanic chieftain Odo. While the West fell, the Eastern Roman Empire continued for another 1,000 years. Known as the Byzantine Empire, it preserved Roman traditions, law, and culture until the fall of Constantinople in 1453 CE. Though the empire collapsed, Rome's influence never disappeared. Language. Latin evolved into the Romance languages Italian, French, Spanish, Portuguese, and Romanian. Law and government. Roman legal principles formed the basis of many modern systems. Architecture and engineering. From arches to aqueducts, Roman designs still inspire modern buildings. Religion. Christianity, once persecuted in Rome, became the empire's official religion and spread worldwide. Rome may have fallen, but in many ways, we are still living in its shadow. The story of Rome is one of greatness and tragedy, a civilization that rose from a small city on the Tiber River to dominate the known world, only to crumble under its own weight. The Roman Empire fell, but its legacy built the world we live in today. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more history stories from around the world.